Okay, so Cooks, we are in January
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah.
This is the time where everyone's setting their New Year's goals, or they
Super
probably set them
exciting time.
a couple of weeks ago. Have you set your goals?
You know, it's interesting. So Amra and I, my wife, we actually set our goals in December.
Yeah.
So that kind of down period after Christmas, that 1 week of hibernation, we spent, I'd say, 8 to 9 hours working through goals. And now we never used to do this. If I'm honest, you know, this is a new phenomenon for us. Only the last couple of years,
Okay.
spending that amount of time working through what goals are, because goals can come across like they're really this like boring, arbitrary thing, but actually they are a way to. I'll go into it later on, but what they are, but they're probably one of the most powerful things that you can do if you want to achieve anything in life, whether it's business, fitness, career, relationships. Like without goals, you just get lost.
So you said you spent 8 or 9 hours with your wife. What were you? What was the game plan?
So
what was the structure of that
so
session?
what we did, we set time aside. First of all, we said, look, there's a Tuesday morning, we had a 4-hour slot. And then the following Tuesday, we had another 4 hours. And we started off just by having a conversation. We were just having a coffee and we were saying, look, how do you think the year went? How do you feel? We had a lot of challenges, especially in the last quarter of the year. We lost 2 very close family members within the space of 3 weeks. So that threw us completely, didn't hit my business goals at all. I'm on my own kind of fitness journey. I was trying to bulk, but mentally, I was really struggling. I just felt I was getting fat, and I went from being really lean to just, I felt I was like an absolute chubber. And so like, it was very difficult. And so we just talked about things that were good, things that were challenging, things that we could do better. And then I actually, like over the course of the year, the books that I read, people that I follow on Instagram, people that I meet like yourself, you'll say something, or I'll come across a set of questions or ideas. And I just had this habit of collating all of this, and I put it together, and I sat down with her and I said, look, B, let's just play the game. It's just a game. Let's play the game. And we just went through a series of questions that were quite difficult questions. Things like, there was a really good one. If money was of no issue, how would you spend your day? Right? So money is of no issue. How would you spend your day?
And would you answer that?
It was basically, we'd wake up, we'd have some breakfast.
Yeah.
A very relaxed morning, go to the gym, come back. We got twins, baby twins, so we'd like take them out somewhere. Maybe grab a movie. I actually wanted to do some work, so some kind of creative work. I wanted to do some work, food, and just spending time together. And then you extend the question, like, what would you do in a week? And so in a week it was like more of the same, but it was also then going out to meet friends, meeting family, spending time creating, which came up a lot as well. So that then led me on the path of, well, if that's the type of life that I want, and kind of Emma's on the same path. And I think it's important when there's 2 of you, right? Because if you're both pulling in the same direction, you have success. If you're both pulling in separate directions and you don't know it, eventually you're going to derail. And so having that conversation together, sometimes it can be quite difficult. Sometimes it's really fun, but it's important to have that conversation together, because then you know where you both sit. If you're by yourself, then you're by yourself. It's okay. But I think it's important to play these games to actually really understand where you want to get to. So we did a series of these questions, a series of these games, and that then led us to, well, okay, where do we think we can actually get to in 2023? What do we really want? And so, 2022, we didn't spend enough time together. We felt we'd kind of grown apart a little bit. So it was like, well, look, first quarter, definitely we're going to be spending more weekends together. You and I are going to go out. I'm going to go see some friends. I'm going to book trips with my friends, like more life experiences, because of my family members passed away. So when something big like that happens, you reflect on your own life and you realize what's important. So it's all of those types of things. And these are deep conversations that if you're really listening to one another, and it's not just waiting for a gap where you then have your opinion, but if you're really listening and communicating, the conversation can go on for hours and hours and hours,
Yeah.
like it did. And that's how we landed on where we got to.
That's why I think we really connect, because when you said that question around what would you do if money was an object,
Yeah,
I literally have the same three things. It's like I'd probably do some sort of creative work.
yeah,
I'd train
yeah,
hard
yeah,
without rushing.
Right.
Just couldn't go through the day, and I spend time with Chani.
yeah,
And I'd probably do it in some order of wake up, go for a walk with Chani,
Right.
then end up at the gym, train
Right.
for a couple hours,
yeah, yeah,
come back, do some creative work,
Yeah.
have some good food, meet some friends, see the family.
exactly.
And that's the perfect day, right? And if you
That's
can
the perfect day.
accumulate as many of those as possible,
Right,
you can have an amazing life, right?
exactly. And so I'll give you an example of it, purely because of that conversation,
Yeah.
those conversations, Amma and I had. You know, like one of my closest friends, I always wind him up because he's always working. And we very rarely get to spend time together. So, of course, I'm going to wind this guy up straight away. And like, mate, you know, it'd be good to see you in 2024. You know, I love you. You're my brother. But, I'd absolutely love to see you in 2024.
Yeah.
And but how about, you know, we go on a trip in May. And he randomly turned around and he goes, you know what, actually, fine. We're going to go on a weekend trip. I was like, whatever, no way.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
always says these things, right? I said, okay, if you're serious, I'm going to send you a meeting request and we're going to go for dinner. Yesterday we're going to go for dinner and we're going to discuss it. And he accepted it. My other friend accepted it, 3 of us. We went for dinner yesterday, planned everything, booked everything. And it was off the back of that conversation. I was like, wow, my closest, best friend since school, we're going on a trip together and we haven't done this. I don't even remember the last time we did this.
It all comes back to your reflection period, being
Right.
very honest about where your year was,
Yeah.
how it was your relationships, and then actually putting tangible targets
Right.
for the next year, which is
Right.
what you've done. You
With
identified you didn't do these things. So now you're already taking action. These
Yeah.
are the goals, right?
Exactly. So let me give you an example, right? When I'm coaching, or even like with my businesses, right? Because I've got businesses and I do business coaching. A phrase that I hear a lot, even with friends and family, is like, you know, we should do this. We should do this. We should do this. Like you probably hear it all the time, right?
Yeah.
We
I should
should-
lose weight.
Yeah, I should lose weight. I should get fit. What's the problem with that phrase?
It's too vague.
Yeah. When is should ever going to happen? Never. So I get almost laughed at when someone says to me, we should do this. I'm the weird guy that be like, okay, look, you said you want to go for a coffee, let's go for a coffee. How's next week Wednesday? And you see people freeze. They're like and the real ones will be like, yeah, fine, let's meet up.
Then
for
you get
coffee.
a Canada invite from Cooks.
Right, that's right. And then when that comes through, I'm turning up. I am turning up and I'll be there. But that's how it happens. If you don't, then like if you don't take that action, and if someone's saying should, and you're saying it as well, someone has to take that action. Otherwise, it never happens.
So when you had that conversation with your wife, where did you end up with in terms of how many goals in what areas of your life? Because
Yeah.
you can end up with a laundry list, right? And
Yeah,
then
that's
you
a
never really do
danger.
anything. So how many do you end up with? What areas of your life were you
Yeah.
focused on?
So it's a really good point, and I have to be honest. When I got into coaching because my business had grown, my family business had grown from a garden shed to being on BBC TV, in the newspapers, supplying Tesco, Sainsbury's, all these guys exporting around the world, only off the back of what I did, right? So, however, the business had taken over my life and I hated it, right? And so I just knew that I wanted a different way of life. And so I sought a coach, but not because I wanted to, because my ego wouldn't let me. It's because a friend of mine who I admired and was always successful was getting even more successful. And I'm scratching my head. I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, he's got the #1 dental branding agency in the world, not even in the UK, in the world,
Yeah.
right? The kindest, most humble guy, looks like a Bollywood star, just an incredible person, right? And he's started a charity that's growing.
The Shaz.
Shaz, you know
Yeah,
Shaz,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So he started a charity, doing all these incredible things. I'm like how are you doing this? I'm killing myself in my own business. How are you doing this? And he's like, look, Cooks, just speak to the guy. If you don't like it, don't do anything. If you like it, do something. I was like, fine. You know what? If he's saying it, and this guy's way more successful than I am, I'm going to listen to him. I have to swallow my own ego pill. So I went to the session, and my mind was blown. And I realized instantly within the first 10 minutes what the biggest problem was, and it was me. I was the biggest problem, the biggest roadblock, the biggest bottleneck in my own life, be it money, relationships, business, everything. I was the problem. And I was like, damn.
What do you mean by that? Why were you the bottleneck?
Because it was my own ego blocking me going out seeking help. I had a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And what that meant was that, see, I'd grown a business from my garden shed, picking chilies to worth a couple of £1 million, and being on TV, all the rest of it, off the back of a hustle mindset, doing everything myself with the help of my family. So I'm like, well, I'm a big boy. I can do anything. Why do I need someone to tell me how to run my business? And they've never run a business themselves. Ego, right? Fixed mindset. But when I knew I'd got to, it's interesting, and I think this applies in fitness as well. You get to a point where the pain is too much.
Yeah.
The pain is too much. Like you're just disappointed that you've failed again at being overweight, doing this, doing that. And so for me, the pain had got too much for the business, that I was living a life that I hated. And so because I'd tipped past that pain point, I got the help and realized that I was the bottleneck. And actually I had to learn new skills. I had to learn new knowledge. I had to change my environment, i.e. my coaches, my mentors. I had to read books. I had to be a different type of person than I was if I wanted a different type of life. And I know this is a long-winded answer to your question, what type of goals did I set? But that whole journey meant that I learned from the early days before I did this. I used to try and set goals, but like you said, it was a laundry list.
Yeah.
10, 15 goals. I'm going to go from, when we first started, I'm doing £50,000 a year. I'm doing £5 million in 2 years. Easy.
Yeah,
I'm going to sell this many bottles of chili sauce, this many bags of crisps. It's dumb. Like, you've got no idea, mate, how to do that. You're just hoping for the best. And so you set these goals that are unattainable. You fail at them. You feel like crap. You do it again. You fail. You feel like rubbish. And so for me, going through that whole journey, meeting other business owners who are successful, plus coaching other people as well, the sweet spot for me is around 3 goals. That for me is a pretty decent sweet spot. And because I've got a couple of businesses as well. For me, it was like, okay, I'm going to set a goal for my coaching business, set a goal for my one of my other businesses, and some personal goals. And within that, again, there's only 3 goals within them. So it's 9 goals in total, which is a lot, but it's very clearly defined that these are very important goals, simplified down to a simpler format as possible. And then that's chopped up into quarters, because those quarterly steps are going to move us forward. The best case scenario, I'd love to be in a position where I've literally only got 3 goals for the year. I was working with a client of mine today, and she's got 2 goals for the year for her business. That's it. That is super sweet.
How did you learn to drop the ego? Because what we notice is, if someone can just surrender, drop the ego, and just be very coachable, they get the best possible results in their fitness, weight loss, body transformation journey. But when you're resistant, you're always questioning every little detail. You've got that I know it better mindset. You never really get anywhere. You just spin your wheels. And it's a very hard thing to do, to drop your ego, especially if you're coming from a place where in other areas of your life you may have been you may be doing pretty well. Especially for people we work with, they're doing well in their careers, they're doing well in their businesses. They're doing
high flyers.
They're high performers, high achievers. But they're doing poor in their health and fitness. So then they suddenly have to be like taking advice from other people, and it's maybe the first time they've ever done it. Right.
I was in that boat, I would say. Even with fitness, if I'm being honest, it was only until about 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, that I stumbled upon getting a coach for fitness. But I'll get on to that. But I think what caused me to drop the ego was a few things, but I think it was getting to that pain point where it was obvious that what I was doing was not working. I was lost. I did not know any other way to go. And actually just being called out, really, by someone that I admired and I respected. Being called out as in, well, look, you think you know what you're doing. You claim you know what you're doing. Why haven't you achieved your results? Well, obviously you don't know. Isn't it worth at least having a conversation? You might learn something. Or are you smarter than everyone else in the world? And when you get asked a question like that, if you turn around and go, oh, I know everything, I've never met anyone who does that, because you look like an idiot. No one wants to look like an idiot.
You need good friends who can tell you that as
You
well.
need good friends. You need good friends, associates, and even if it's a stranger that you're speaking to, I think it like hits home deeper when it's a stranger, because they don't know you. There's no judgment. They've met you for maybe a half an hour, and you get called out by a stranger. And you're like, damn, that hit hard. That hit hard.
That pain thing you talk about is really interesting, because some people can sit in that pain for a very long time. Like, let's say you're overweight, you know you've got weight to lose,
Yeah.
and it's ringing in your head. The narrative
Yeah.
is playing like,
Yeah.
I need to lose weight. I don't feel comfortable
Yeah.
in my clothes. I don't feel confident looking in the mirror. But you don't really do anything about it until that trigger happens. And sometimes, one thing I've noticed in the last couple of years is sometimes the first trigger isn't often enough. And you need this like life-altering experience to really propel you out of the pain that you're in.
Well, I think it actually deepens the pain rather than propelling you out of it, because like you said, there's people, they know they're overweight, or if they're not overweight, they know they're unhealthy. They've got no strength. You know, whatever it is, they just know they have to do something, but they're complacent. And they're, you know, lazy. I don't think lazy is the right word. It's a lack of confidence. It is a lack of confidence, because look, us as a species, human species, is a little bit deep as an explanation, but I think it's worthwhile. Us as a species, we are ultimately programmed to survive, right? Survive, that's it. Adapt and survive. Way back when we were cave people. And if you think about it, in our society at least, it's pretty Christy. Even if money's tight, or, you know, your food's not the best, but you're warm, you got food, you're safe. By and large, you've got people around you. TV's on, you're entertained. You don't really have to do anything. What's there to push you out of that comfort? Because as humans, like I said, we're created to survive and adapt. And that's a pretty Christy survival mode. You could do that for 40 years, 50 years straight and still be alive, which we know people do that. Whether it's in business or in fitness, they just stay that same path, or even in a job, they do the same job, they live the same day for 50 years.
Yeah.
And then they retire.
The treadmill.
Yeah. But it's safe, secure, it's steady. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are happy with that. And so now going on to the thing about pain, right? When you've got that level of comfort and complacency, to be shocked out of it, it takes a lot, because you are so comfortable and so safe. And so that's why sometimes it takes these life-altering experiences where someone has a heart attack, or, you know, they see a loved one pass away or something like that. But then, you know, I know people that are young and they have these health problems and they still don't do anything, because they're like, you know what, I survived, I'm all right, I'm not going to do anything. And so unfortunately for those people, all you can do is open the door and hope that they choose to step through it. Someone's only going to make changes when they want to. You cannot change anyone else. You can only change yourself, right? And that's just how it is.
I mean, I was chatting to a guy yesterday. He must be about 5'8", 300 pounds, 145 kilos.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I've got this thing, and the narrative's playing in my head that, yeah, it's time to lose weight. You know, I don't feel good.
Right.
I keep seeing myself in this big body and I want to change it.
Right.
I was like, all right, so, you know, you're gonna do it now.
Yeah.
I just need to.
Yeah, you know.
I was like, what? You just need to what?
Yeah.
I was like,
have a heart attack?
and I was literally like, what is stopping you? And there was no answer. There was no answer. And
So-
I was looking at him thinking, come on, man.
Yeah. You know, a really good question I've come across, and this is what I've learned from coaching actually, is that you ask someone to be their future self. So this guy, 5'8", 150 kilos. How old was the guy?
50?
50? Okay. So very risky territory, right? Probably got a multitude of health conditions. Yeah. So probably got kids, grandkids, that type of thing. So typically you'd ask someone like that, okay, let me ask you a question. tell me about your lifestyle, your day to day. What do you eat? What do you do? How's your weekends look? Okay. So you're telling me you want to do something. You're probably not going to do anything by the sounds of things. Tell me, what does your life look like in 5 years? What do you look like in 5 years? And he'll be like, probably the same. But the truth is, it won't be the same. Because in life, we either go up or we decline. That's the truth of it. If you look at a plant is either growing or dying. Two things. That's how nature works. And by virtue, this guy, his life is going to be worse in 5 years. He's going to be heavier. He's going to have more health conditions. He's going to be a much worse place than he is today. And you call the guy out on that guy. So, okay, look, your life is going to be worse than it is today, but you're happy with that, right? He'd be like, no. He'd be like, no, but you are, because you're not willing to do something about it today. And that's okay. That's a choice that you're making. And you leave someone to sit with that. Like I do when I'm coaching my clients in business, and they're making the same, I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself. They've got good businesses, but they're small teams, they're struggling, don't have time, working evenings and weekends. You can't find the right people. I'll do it myself. I'm like, okay, fine. You try and help someone and coach someone, but you can just tell they're not hearing. Like you said, yeah, but just this, just that. I'm like, okay, fine. Let me just ask you, look, in 5 years, let me ask you a question. You're currently working 60 hours a week. You're making £200,000 a year. You've got 4 staff. You've had these challenges for what, the last 5 years, 10 years? Yeah. Okay. How is your life going to be in 5 years? What's going to be different? It won't be different. Okay. So you're happy with that, right? You're happy with your life not being different. In fact, it's probably going to be more challenging because you're going to go out and try and get more business. You're going to go out and try and grow what you've got at the moment, which means you're probably going to be working more hours. How's your family going to feel about you working more hours, by the way? They won't like it. Okay, but you're also happy with that because you're making that choice today. You're happy with them not liking it, and you're going to have this problem in 5 years' time. Fine, look, it's okay. This is a choice that you're making. I am here to help. I might not be the right person to help you, but hopefully you do make a change in your life very soon because the facts are here. Tell me, am I wrong in my understanding of what you've told me? And see what they say. 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, okay, thank you, bye.
You just got to let us shoot.
Yeah, like sometimes it takes that.
What do you see the difference between like the victim and victor mentality? I know you talk a lot about above the line and below the line.
Right.
I love that. It's a really interesting analogy.
I love that.
Talk us through that, because I think that's one of the reasons why people don't achieve their goals and why they stay stuck in limbo, as you just mentioned. Talk us through that framework.
So I got coached on this, and now I coach on this extensively, and I use it not only in my business but in my personal life as well, where I can use it in my relationship, right? And so this is how it works. Imagine you've got a sheet of paper, landscape, and there's a line that goes across the middle, right? And that line is any given situation in your life, Now, let's say, for example, you and me are working in a business and our job is marketing. We're in the marketing department, right? The boss has come to us and said, look, we've got this big client. We need you to design and put together an email, send it to this client so that they get a 50% discount on the new product that we're launching. So you and me go, okay, fine, we do that. We do it, we send the email out, but we don't know it's actually gone to the entire database of 5,000 customers. We can't pull it back. 5,000 customers are going to get a 50% discount on this brand new product. Obviously, there's going to be some trouble now with the managers. Typically, right, so the line is the situation that I've just described.
Yeah.
The managers are going to come to us and they're going to say, what the hell happened? Normally what happens in that kind of situation, in a workplace, let's say?
You're either going to take the blame or shift the blame.
Yeah. Blame. What else happens?
Act like nothing happened? Or
denial.
Clueless,
I don't know. What do you mean? Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to blame someone, there'll be denial. What else?
Manager's going to get annoyed.
Yeah, they'll get annoyed. But what would we typically do?
Denial, blame.
Excuses.
Excuses. Yeah.
I didn't know. I was distracted. There's a lot of things going on. Now, the thing is, none of those things are lies. I'm not making it up. Like, I might have been really stressed. I might have been under a lot of pressure, right? So the analogy for that is bed. right? BED, blame, excuses, denial, below the line thinking, blame, excuses, denial. So let's replay the situation. Email's gone out. We've messed it up. What if we take the opposite approach? So we're not blaming, we're not making excuses, we're not in denial about it. What would we be being opposite?
Ownership.
You take ownership. What else?
Accept.
Yeah, accept. Like, so you're accountable. You're being accountable for it. What else?
Responsible.
Yeah, that's it. Those three things. You take ownership, you be accountable, and you take responsibility. Now, in that given situation, if you and me are both sitting there going, you know what? I'll be like, Akash, you know what? That's my fault. It's on me. I'm sorry. It's like nothing to do with you. Your design was brilliant. I messed this up completely. But you might turn around because you're also above the line and go, you know what, Crooks? No, but actually, I know you did that. I could have checked. Next time I'll check with you. And then I hold my hand up to the team and go, you know what? I'm responsible. What's that going to do between you and me as a relationship, as a teammate?
Yeah, strengthen it.
Strengthen it.
Yeah.
What if we do the other thing?
That's when conflict happens.
Conflict. I'm not going to trust you again.
Yeah.
The guy's going to stab me in the back. Or likewise, vice versa. And so the reason I love this so much is what happens to the mindset, right? So below the line thinking, the world is happening to you, right? The world is happening to you, and it's externalized, right? Because I don't know, the bus was late.
Circumstances. Yeah.
The bus was late. There was so much talk in the office. I couldn't concentrate. It's not me, right? It's the world happening to you. And that then means that you're a victim. What does it mean if someone's a victim?
They pass the blame. They're going
to be powerless. They're going to be powerless, right? There's no confidence.
Paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, all of
where
that.
They are.
They're a victim.
Yeah.
Now, I mean,
and they're the ones that never change.
Yes.
They never change. When we see this all the time in R&T, it's like people that are the victims are there's so many different excuses. I had to travel.
Yeah.
Or I got called out to a work dinner. Yeah, but you still have control of what you put in your mouth.
Right.
You don't have to eat everything there.
Right.
You still control it, just as an example.
Exactly that. It's a victimhood. The world is happening to me.
I've hurt my knee, so I can't train anything.
Right. Exactly. But you're a victim now. Now, if you flip it and we go above the line, what happens when you internalize something? When it's like, you know what?
Yeah, you're in control.
I'm in control. You become a victor. That's a winner's mindset.
I like
all
that.
of a sudden. Because when it's inside you, the world can do what it wants. But inside, in here, and in here, you are in control. And it goes back to what I said earlier, that I can't change you as a person. I can't change someone that's difficult in my life, but I can change myself in the way that I am with that person. And likewise, in any given situation, I can either react, which is go crazy and go below the line, or I can respond, which is more thought out and calculated and more of a victor's mindset. And that's why I really love above the line and below the line, because in any given situation where it's not working out, I can say to you, look, let's go above the line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that. Do you think this is why most people don't achieve their goals? Because when life gets in the way, it's a case of, screw it. I'm just going below the line now.
But
what do you think?
I think goal setting has to be done in the right way, right? It has to be done in the right way. And if you've never done it before, you should be seeking help to set the goal and set goals and start. I did this thing where I used to set these goals and just fail miserably.
Yeah.
So I flipped the switch and I was like, you know what? I'm going to set the goal, the bar of success so low that it's a guarantee that I'm going to pass. So when I wanted to try and work out, and I knew I would do like a couple of weeks, I'd stop, do a couple of weeks, I'd stop. So I said, you know what? For 90 days, I'm going to do 5 push-ups in the morning, 5 squats and 5 sit-ups just after I brush my teeth. That counts for me as a workout. Like, that bar of success is so low. Yeah. But I did it because the habit of doing it was more important than the thing that I was doing, because I was failing at everything else. And that little victory gives you another little victory, gives you another little victory. But going on to why people fail at goals, I think there's several things to it. You may have heard the analogy like a smart goal. Yeah. Specific, measurable, attainable, measurable, and time-based, right? most goals that people set are not SMART goals. So a good example is I want to get fit in 2023. That is a very...
Doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right? How do you quantify that? A smarter version would be, I'm going to run 10K by December 2023, and this means that I'm going to run 3 times 40 minutes a week. And my calories will be 2,000 a day.
Yeah.
Right? That's a smarter goal. So setting the right type of goal is really important. But I think I can give you the deeper answer if you want the deeper answer.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So
we don't want surface level stuff here.
Okay, fine. Let's go into it. So there's a difference between a vision, a task, and a goal, right? I have to be honest, I didn't know any of this stuff until I started to learn about it. But a great example of a vision is in the 60s, JFK, the president of the United States, he announced to America, basically the world, we are putting a man on the moon in 10 years. And this is going to be the proudest achievement of our nation. And we need you and every man, woman, and child to help us make this happen. You are going to help us put a man on the moon. If you're an engineer, if you're a designer, if you're this, if you're that, come and help us make this happen. We want you to put a man on the moon.
Yeah.
Right? Wow, that's super powerful. It's an out there vision, inspired everyone in the country. And there's a famous story, I think, when he went to NASA and he asked the cleaner, what do you do here? And the cleaner said, I'm helping put a man on the moon. He didn't say I'm a cleaner. He said, I'm helping put a man on the moon. Because he was so inspired, right? Now, that's not necessarily a goal. That's still quite vague, but it's so big. The idea behind the vision is supposed to enroll and inspire people, whether it's in your business or in your life. So let's say it's someone who wants to get fit, right? Their vision could be that, my vision is that when I'm 50 years old, my grandkids can't catch me in the park, and I'm fit and I'm strong, and I'm the life and soul of the party. That's my vision, and I'm so excited for that vision. You tell that to your grandkids or to your spouse or whoever, they're gonna be like, that's really exciting. I want to help you do that, but that's not the goal. So having that vision is super important, but it's quite a big thing to set. And so if you can set a vision for yourself, for your business, do it, because it will enroll and inspire you. Write it down, get it out of your head, stick it to the wall, make it into pictures like a vision board, because that is what drives you. And I'll get onto that, why this is important in a second. So have a vision if you can. If you can't, that's okay. Then it comes to having a goal. Now, a goal is basically the stepping stone to making that vision come true in its simplest form. So just play the game with me here, right? Let's say we're in a car, you're driving, and we want to go somewhere. We're using Google Maps, and the app is loaded up. What's the first thing that you do? You're the driver. What's the first thing that you do when you want to use
put the destination in?
Put the destination in, hit go.
Yeah.
Google Maps shoots up a route, and then off we go, right? Let's say along the way, I want to grab a coffee. We pull over somewhere, we grab a coffee. We've obviously gone off route, but we set off again. What will Google Maps do? Reroute, bang. We're going to where we need to get to. And the reason I'm sharing that analogy is because your goal is like the postcode in the sat nav. If you don't have a postcode in your sat nav, where are we going to end up?
Nowhere.
Yeah, like anywhere, nowhere, lost. Yeah. Most people are driving around without a postcode in their sat nav. Now, to take the analogy further, a vague version of that is to say, I want to go from London to Scotland. Start somewhere in London, end up somewhere in Scotland. A much better version is to say, I want to start at St. Paul's Cathedral and I want to end up at Edinburgh Castle. Very specific.
Yeah.
So this is why, going back to how we started the conversation, having that reflection about your truthful, honest self about where you are today. I can't walk around the block. I'm struggling. I've got biscuits in my cupboard. I hide food and I eat it. Whatever your truth is, that's your start point. That's your St. Paul's. And then your goal is whatever your specific goal is, right? So having that postcode in your sat nav is so important because they are essentially the stepping stones to you achieving the vision that you've set for yourself. But then as you get into that, The type of goals that people typically set long term, so 5 years plus. Medium term is like 2 to 4 years, right? Shorter term, 1 year, 12-month goals. When you get elite ninja level, it's like daily goals, weekly goals. That's hard.
Yeah.
If someone's never done this before, my recommendation is always 12 months. 12-month goals, chop that up into quarters, which is 3 months. Because then again, if I go back to the sat-nav analogy, we're going from London to Scotland. Q1 is, all right, we're going from London to
Leicester.
Leicester. All right, we're going to go from London to Leicester. That's Q1.
Yeah.
So in fitness terms, it could be, I don't know.
Lose the first 10 kilos.
Lose the first 10 kilos. Man, for someone else, it might just be, you know what? Clear all the crap food out of my cupboards.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm going to do in the next 3 months. Clear all that stuff out of my cupboard and start buying better food. You don't know what someone's start point is, what someone's Everest is. And I think that's also been a really big realization for me. Like what for me seems like easy and achievable, for someone else is an absolute Everest.
Yeah. And with that analogy you just gave of like make it really simple, just for that weight loss one. For those listening around weight loss, when you've got like a big Everest, let's say you've got 30 kilos to lose this year, which is, you don't know where to start. Like that's a long way to go and a long way to stay motivated for. So what you got to do is you got to start thinking, how do I chunk this down?
Right.
And you can chunk it in 2 ways. You can go time. So every month I will knock off 3 kilos.
Right.
Or I'm going to set mini checkpoints along the way. So I'm only focused on the first 5 kilos.
Right.
First 5 kilos by this date. That's it. That's all I'm focusing on. I know where I'm going overall. I know that Edinburgh Castle goal.
Right.
But my Leicester is the first 5 kilos.
Yeah.
Or my Leicester is the first month. And this is happening. And then it's like you said, the next level is, what's the process that's going to help you there?
Right.
What are the skills you need to learn to make the process easy?
Yeah.
So it's not just a case of, stick to your meal plan for the next 3 months. Okay, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, learn how to meal prep, learn how to batch cook, because you're probably not going to not eat out for the next 3 months. So you need to learn how to eat out, learn how to, so it's like all the skills that come around it. So it's like you're breaking the Everest down, or the Edinburgh Castle, all the way down to the day-to-day skills that you need to do to execute the process, to execute the chunks along the way.
You know what? Actually, just to add to what you said, I listened to this incredible book. You may have heard of it, called Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
James Clear, right? And you talk about habit stacking and all these other things. And once you start to get quite good at goals and setting them, what you can then start to do is make the switch to, rather than even setting the goal around an outcome, it becomes about the actual habit that's going to result in the outcome. So what this means is, let's say the weight loss goal, someone wants to lose 10 kilos, right? You know that's going to equate to a minimum of 50 gym sessions in a quarter and an average calorie intake of whatever, 1,500 calories a week, right? So, or a day, sorry, a day, not 1,500, or 1,500 calories a day. So that then becomes the goal. The goal becomes actually 3 gym sessions, 4 cardios, 1,500 calories a day.
Yeah,
that's your goal, not the losing, because the result is a byproduct.
Yeah, and that makes that takes the pressure off as well.
Yeah,
because you're not always thinking, oh shit, the scale doesn't move.
Right.
So you're focusing on the what goes into it. But the other way to approach it is also coming back to your Edinburgh analogy, is what identity do you want to take on?
During the process?
Just at the end of the process, like, do I want to become someone who is healthy, fit, and strong year round? Yeah. And starting to envision that. Yeah. And that's probably actually the vision that you mentioned.
Right.
It's probably like, well, who do I want to be?
Right.
Not what do I want to get, it's who do I want to be?
Yeah.
In the next 12
definitely months. To achieve something new in your life, you have to be a different type of person. And people are afraid of that because they feel if they change, their life changes, maybe they lose people in their life. Maybe their life's going to change too much. What's it going to be like?
Just out of interest, when you were stuck in that pain and you kept failing goals, like, how did that make you feel? And what was going through your head when you set all these grandiose goals, but you just never really hit them?
So I actually had investors as well, so I was responsible for returning money to these people. Like, they'd invested a lot of money in me.
Is this in Mr. Chili's?
Mr. Singhs, Mr. Singhs. And so
Which just tell the listeners what Mr. Singhs is.
So Mr. Singhs is basically my family business. We started making chili sauce in our garden shed. My dad just came home one day. He was out trying to sell chili sauce. We took it off him, booked a stand at the BBC Good Food Show, which is a big food event in Kensington. Made 1,000 bottles of chili sauce with £900 on my credit card. Went to the show with my family of 7 and we sold out. And little old ladies with silver hair were buying my chili sauce. And they're like, oh, my son will like this. And we're like, these people are paying us for something we made in our shed. And it's hot. It's my dad's Kenyan chili sauce recipe.
Yeah.
And bang, that's it. The thing was born and off it went. So anyway, managed to scale it, but I got investors in and I was just feeling so much pressure. And I just kind of got to the point where I just knew that I just didn't want that life anymore.
Of what? Not hitting goals?
Yeah, it's just I felt like failing. I felt like I was failing so much. I felt like everything I tried didn't work. Every marketing strategy didn't work. Every tactic with the supermarket didn't work. Every new idea didn't work. In hindsight, I didn't follow through enough. I didn't give things enough time. I didn't have the right plan in place. I didn't have the right people in place. Which means my environment was wrong. So it's like you look back and look, oh, obviously. But when you're in it, you're in it. But I mean, I suppose this kind of leads on to why people fail at their goals, right? What do you think? What's your take on why people fail at goals?
A big part is what you mentioned around it. There's not enough reflection going into the actual process of it.
Yeah.
One of the things I used to do wrong was I used to just make my notes, make my goals in my notes folder on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And just be like, this is what I'm going to do next year.
Yeah.
Having not really considered everything from the year before.
Yeah.
And this is probably the first year where I feel very comfortable going into the year, very confident that I'm going to achieve my goals, because I actually spent, and this was advice from a mentor of mine. He said, from October, start making reflections from the year and start journaling what you want 2023 to be about in every aspect of your life. Look at what went wrong this year. Look what went right this year. But start the process early.
Yeah.
And then refine it as you go along.
Yeah.
And I was looking back early actually, because I knew we were going to speak today. I was looking at the early drafts.
Right.
Have evolved into what I crystallized in the end.
Right.
And they're very different.
Yeah.
But now I look at it and think, yeah, that's right. Had I gone with the initial one, which is the sort of first draft,
version 1,
I would have probably fallen off already, or changed my mind already.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. You change your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when it's business and the type of people we are, creatives, excited, you change your mind easy, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this is, I think, putting a lot of reflection and thought into it has helped me sharpen my focus for this year of what I want to achieve. So for example, with my Thai, but initially, I was trying it, experiment, and I wasn't really sure if that was my goal. If you asked me in October, I'd only just started. If I look back at what I wrote, it said, I'm either going to run a marathon or I'm going to try boxing.
Right.
That's what I wrote.
Right.
It wasn't anything fleshed out, but I waited, let it marinate. And now it's very clear. I want to compete in a Muay Thai flight in 2023.
Yeah. Nice.
But then I think once you've set that and you've done the reflection, you said it, I think where people fall off is accountability.
That's a big part of it.
I think accountability and I think a lot of it's also the above the line mentality that you talked about.
Yeah.
In that you don't want to take ownership for your goals.
Yeah, the mindset.
As soon as things start going a bit off track, you're quick to blame others. Oh, that person didn't do this for me. That person didn't do that for me. This happened. That happened. This happened. Life got in the way. When life gets in the way, that is the single biggest reason why people fall off a body transformation or a weight loss journey. Life got in the way.
Yeah.
This happened in my life. That happened in my life. So I went AWOL.
Yeah.
This happened.
Yeah.
And for that reason, if people can find ways to embrace when life gets in the way and take ownership of that and reach out for help when that happens, they will succeed on their goals.
100%. I mean, look, a good example of that is, sorry to jump in. You just triggered a thought that in October, as my dad's got 5 brothers and a sister. We're a very close family, right, from Kenya. Very, very close. Like my uncles are like my dads. My cousins are like my brothers and sisters. And my youngest uncle, he's only 56, health issues, etc. But he passed away, right? And just heartbreaking. That is the only way I can describe it at the moment. Heartbreaking and devastating, and you're in shock. And so that lasted for like a couple of weeks when something like that happens in your family. I had family staying at my house.
Yeah.
Back and forth here, doing this, doing that, and we weren't even, we were doing probably less than everyone else was doing, but it still felt very intense. The day after my chacha's funeral, my uncle's funeral, my grandmother, i.e. his mum, passes away. She'd been in hospital for 8 weeks.
Your dad's mum?
My dad's mum, right?
Wow, yeah.
She passes away. So it's my grandmother now.
Mm.
So at my uncle's funeral, next day we knew she was going. We knew she was ill. She'd kind of had up and downs, but she passes the next day. And it's heartbreaking again.
Mm.
So you go through that. And, it's one of those things where it's so easy to say, you know what, I'll give up. I hate everything. I don't want to do anything. I feel like crap. For me, everyone's different, but for me, for Amma as well, going to the gym, eating right, was the only constant thing in our life that we could rely on. At least we know we're going to go. It's going to be hard, but I'm not going to think or feel anything but the thing that I'm doing in the gym, and that's constant. And it's a big win. It's always a victory when you hit the gym. Always a victory. So at least you've got that one win under your belt. And I'm going to do my best to stick to my macros, with my food. I'll do my best. I'll be kind to myself because it's not always going to be easy, but I'll do my best to stick to that. And so the days that you celebrate that. But at least those two foundations are there, and those things carry you through. Because if you've got that solid line of consistency that you can rely on, that fallback, life is always going to be like this. Yeah. I'll go through bouts of depression, bouts of extreme happiness, bouts of this, bouts of that, but that's just how life is. You develop the tools to learn how to manage all of that. But at least having that consistency with fitness especially is what carried us through. I know for sure it carried mental health, all the rest of it carried us through. So yeah, it's so easy to go below the line, but I think it's, not to make excuses for people, but at least to cut people some slack, that oftentimes you don't have these tools. It was only until I was coached on above the line that I then have this tool in my hand.
That's what this podcast is for.
Right. So there's now tools that someone can use. Yeah. But it becomes a choice then. That's when it's like, well, look, I'm going to call you out on it. Yeah. You can go above the line. It's your choice now.
And I think it's worse when you know there's a choice.
Yeah.
And you don't do it. And I think that eats at your self-esteem.
Right.
That's what it's like when you're dieting, but you say you're dieting, but you're not dieting.
Right.
There's nothing worse.
It kind of ends Thursday afternoon.
Yeah. But you're saying you're on it.
Yeah.
And that beats up your self-esteem.
Yeah.
I think confidence comes from having like a lot of social proof within yourself that you can do something.
Yeah.
I think that's where people get the confidence from body transformation from.
Yeah.
Because it's like you just said, even when, you went through a very difficult period, you had that constant of training and nutrition.
Yeah.
And that there's a level of control that you still have on yourself.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I can control this at least.
Exactly. And that's why I've always found physical fitness to be an anchor in my life.
Yeah.
Because
that's a good word,
anchor. You can always control what you eat and how you move.
Yeah. And you know what, actually, just talking about my grandmother, I always say that she was a lesson from the future. Because when she used to move around and do stuff, she was fine. The minute she stopped, health started deteriorating. And I always look at her as a lesson from the future. And so for me, it's like, well, okay, as long as I possibly can, I'm going to be doing this stuff. And I want to outwork everyone and go as hard as I can and shock people, like with my own fitness, with my own health. And that's going to energize me, because that's the only way to stay young, healthy, full of energy, vitality, is proven, like scientifically. Anti-aging creams, like mind games and stuff like that, it doesn't work. The only thing that works, that slows down the degenerative process of the human body, is physical exercise, which is insane.
Yeah,
but it's true.
When you went through this difficult moment with your grandma, how did you pull yourself into thinking, all right, I'm going to go train, I'm going to eat well? Because you live in a big family household as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which can sometimes make things a bit difficult.
Yeah, it is. Well, Punjabi family, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of food. If you don't eat butter, you've got some kind of problems.
And you're vegan.
And I'm vegan, right?
Yeah.
So my grandma's always like, you're so skinny. I could be 100 kilos, but I'll still be, I'll be a skinny guy. But yeah, I just think it's like, you know what? I love my family, but they're not contributing to my life. It's my responsibility. It's my life. It's my life. And if they really love me, they might take the mickey out of me, but if they really love me, they'll accept me for what I'm doing, because I'm doing something good for myself. And that's the way I look at it. That they'll actually encourage me. No, you know what? Go.
Mm.
And
Do you explain to them why it's important to you?
yeah, if they ask, a lot of times your family don't ask. They'll just
Yeah.
make judgment. Like, but what can you do? If they ask, then I'll explain. Even if they don't, I'll explain. But like my mum's a good example. Like she'll be like, no, you should rest. Just don't do it. Relax. But we know that if we do that, it makes things worse. So we're like, no, I'm going. Appreciate you saying what you're saying, but I'm going. And you just do it. As much as this is your family, they're your loved ones, it's your life. It's not their life, it's your life. And I'm the oldest in my family, my siblings and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, I'm going to lead by example as well. I want to set a certain standard for what I want our family to be like, what I want my life to be like. And so you go at it. But then again, this is why like the things that we're talking about are so important. Setting goals and doing your best to hit them is so important. And actually, sorry, just to circle back to what you said earlier about why people fail at goals. For me, there's three things. There's three reasons people fail. The first one is either having no or very vague goals, right? That's the first reason. The second one is having zero accountability. So the environment is not right. They've got no coach, they've got no mentor, they've got no friend with them that's holding them accountable. And basically the friend gives them too much slack, right? If they have got someone, they've got no one saying, look, but you said you were going to do this and you've not done it. Why? Either you're lying or you need to make a change.
Mm.
They've not got someone to do that. And the other thing with a coach is you track your progress, right? So I don't know, let's take Usain Bolt, for example. Usain Bolt ran 100 meters in 9.5 seconds, whatever the number is. Do you think that guy turned up to the track every day to train and just kind of with his coach just ran and went home? Do you think that's how he did his training?
Of course not.
How do you think he did his training? Even if you were to hazard a guess.
He had a game plan. He had a blueprint to follow.
Yeah.
He was adapted.
Once he'd run his race, what do you think they do?
Recover.
Yeah.
Plan for the next one.
What would the coach do and him do looking at the race?
Yeah, they review it.
Yeah.
Give feedback. Offer the game plan accordingly.
Why do
Hold
all
to
of that
account.
stuff?
Because it matters.
But what
That's
does
how
it
you
result
achieve
in?
the goal.
What does it result in?
Improvement.
Improvement.
Yeah, improvement.
Most people
Yeah.
have zero tracking, zero data to look at.
Yeah.
How can you track you're improving? That if you're only using a metric, which is a scale, which by the way, if you're using a digital scale, that thing's not accurate. It moves every single day, right? It could be up, it could be down. So if you're only using that, that's a dangerous thing. And if you don't know, you could have had too much water or not enough water and you're carrying water retention. So it's affecting your scales and you lose your mind over that. But if you've not got a coach or someone that's holding you accountable along that journey, how do you know that you're doing things in the right way? It's funny that even within business, I meet people and they're like, but I know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, have you had training in this? Are you an expert in this? No, but I saw this thing on internet. I saw this thing on YouTube. No, but I've got this plan that I'm following. Found this person on Instagram. Okay. Let me ask you a question. When you got a toothache, are you going to go to the YouTube channel that you follow to solve your toothache? No. Why? Who are you going to go to? What would they say? Dentist.
Yeah.
Why? Because a dentist trained for 10 years.
Yeah.
They know how to alleviate the pain that you're going through and to give you a recovery plan afterwards.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me you've got all the knowledge in the world about every single subject, maybe it's worth reconsidering what you're telling me about the level of knowledge that you've got to achieve the goal that you've set yourself. Possibly reconsider. I could be wrong, but maybe that's worth doing, right? So going back to why people fail, they don't have that accountability. They don't have that coach around them. Their goals are too vague, or they don't have any goals. And the third one is really important. Do you know what a RAS is? A reticular activating system. Have you heard of that?
No, only through you.
Okay.
I've only ever heard you talk about it.
Yeah. So reticular activating system is basically this. If you and me are walking down the road, central London, and I say to you, don't think of a red bus, what are you going to do?
Think of red bus.
Yeah, you're going to look at red buses, think of red buses all day long, right?
Yeah.
And basically, this is an ancient survival mechanism that we've all got in our minds. And it came from, like, let's say, for example, we need to get food. We'll go out hunters looking for berries and food and an animal.
Yeah.
Right, pre-vegan times, right? You'd go out hunting. That's the only thing. You look for danger and hunting because your RAS is switched on. Today, challenging because you've got social media. You've got things going past you all the time. You've got distractions. Too much going on up here. And by writing down your goals, old school, I'm talking about writing down your goals, sticking them in front of you, you're activating your RAS every single day. When you brush your teeth, you're looking at it going, at night, brushing your teeth, looking at your goal. What does that then do?
Keeps you focused.
Keeps you focused.
Which is a big part of it.
Because what else is going on in your head? If you just speak to so many people, I know, it's in my head. But what else is going on in your head? Chaos.
And focus is a big one because when shiny objects come past.
Yeah. Going back to your creative people thing.
Yeah, you know, we're creators.
Yeah.
You know, let's say next week you see something really exciting. You're like, this is the thing we need to do, right?
I'm doing this.
This is what would change the whole strategy. And it's like, but what about this?
Exactly. That's me pre-coaching.
And reality is focus on one thing is what's going to drive the results.
But you know what it is? That's not sexy.
Nah.
Focus, consistency, persistency, doing the right thing every single day. Micro, what's it called? Marginal gains.
Yeah. Playing the long game as well.
Yeah,
just playing the
long game. It's not sexy though. Somehow we'll package that up, put it into a pill, and say, look, you take this. Life is gravy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that.
We wouldn't be recording this if...
No, exactly. So that's it, those three things. Writing down your goals, make sure you look at it all the time, activate the RAS.
Yeah.
Smart goals, very important. And then get accountability around you. Change your environment, basically.
Finish up this podcast. What's the number one goal you're most excited about achieving in 2023?
The most exciting goal that I'm... the number one goal that I'm most excited about achieving in 2023?
Yeah. Of the 9 you have.
So going on... I can't remember the number. I need to look at it. I think it's 40 or 50. We've called them little adventures with the twins. So we've got them these... I think they're definitely above average intelligence. So they're super smart twins, and we've got them these little adventure kits. So like binoculars, digging stuff up, and their imagination is wild. Like I learned so much from their imagination.
Yeah,
and like I play the game with them. Like, okay, where are we going? What's going on in this space? Is the dinosaur coming? Is it a monster? There's a zebra with 3 heads. Oh wow, okay. So basically, we set a goal to say, all right, we're going to have 40, we're calling them little adventures. So every Saturday, we're going to get up, we'll be out the house by 9 o'clock, and we're going to go somewhere and have a little adventure. And that's the one thing I'm most excited about.
Where did that come from? What was the reflection from last year?
Because... especially with twins, but I suppose it's with people as well. People don't do what you say, they do what you do. Or your twin, like kids, like children especially, they don't really do what you say, they do what you do. So we're like, well, okay, we want to do this, we want them to be outdoors, explorative, creative, have no fear, take risks, take chances, but we have to do that with them, like work out in front of them so they see that that's what it's all about. And so that's the thing that I'm most excited about, just because it's like, number one is like, it's crazy fun. I love like this storytelling element of just being with them, but I love doing that type of stuff as well. And like deep down, it would be so sick if one of them becomes like an archaeologist and adventurer. Like that's like out there.
That's the vision.
Yeah. Treasure hunting.
Amazing. Where can people find out more about what some of the work you're doing and some of your businesses?
I'd say the best bet is Instagram at Cooks Sahota. Connect with me on there. Like genuinely, I love connecting with people and just knowing what they're about. If I can help them, I will help them. Like I just send voice notes to absolute strangers sometimes when they're asking me questions. But also, like if I know someone that is going to help another person, I'll just connect them. I don't want anything from it. There's so much power that comes from that and connecting people because you know they're good for each other. It comes back to you tenfold, but that's the best place to connect with me. Amazing. I would say.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for coming on the RNT Fitness Radio podcast.
My pleasure,
It's been
man.
a pleasure. And if you're listening, make sure you take action on the advice we've discussed today and achieve your 2023 goals.
Yeah, all day. Take action now.